Hi, this is Bobby from the Vespasian Warner Public Library, and I'm here with another tale from the archive where we talk about objects and documents in our local history collection. Today we're going to dive a little bit into library history and talk about the C.H. Moore collection. Clifton Moore, as some of you may know, was a very prominent Clinton citizen. He lived in the house that is now the DeWitt County Museum, or the Homestead, and he was a bibliophile. He loved books. He collected between 5,000 and 8,000 books in his lifetime, all in his private two-story library that's in his house. When he passed away in 1901, he left that entire collection of books to the city of Clinton to start a public library, which is something we did not have at the time. And we are very fortunate that we actually still own most of that original collection. So I pulled out a few of the ones I find very interesting. Since Moore was collecting for himself, not just as a public library, he collected the things that interested him the most. So there is a lot of history. We have some great ones like the Women of the United States. We have a first edition of U.S. Grant's autobiography. As you can see, all of the books that Moore collected, he stamped with his name, but this one must have meant something more to him because it's actually handwritten in as well. And then you also see the stamp that show this was a Moore book that was given to the library. And he has this absolutely beautiful library on the history of China and Japan and Korea, which I'll admit it took me a second to realize that it was Korea because I'd never seen it spelt with a C. But it's just kind of fun and interesting. He also collected a lot of novels, which novel reading in the 19th century was kind of looked down upon, but he had authors that we would recognize today. Like he had beautiful editions by Mark Twain, a lot of Jules Verne, one of the first sci-fi authors, and I just love this book because it is so pretty with all of these beautiful illustrations. And then there are authors that we don't necessarily recognize. This one from 1877 called That Life of Mine caught me because of the amazing title. But also this book originally belonged to a circulating library. Circulating libraries were paid subscription libraries, so in this case you paid 10 cents a week in order to check out books. So I don't know if this book was sold by the circulating library or if it was checked out and just never returned. One of those little mysteries. He also collected a lot of philosophy. We have the complete works of Voltaire, and this is from 1762, and it's just an absolutely beautiful edition. And another one that I find interesting that he had 2 volumes of love letters of famous men and women. Not something I would have thought a lawyer would have, but here we are. A couple of the other books in the collection that I find very interesting. This one just caught my eye because of the title. Fun, Ancient and Modern. So we have 2 volumes on the history of fun. And the oldest book in our collection is a C.H. Moore book, and it's this New Testament that was hand printed and hand bound in Antwerp in 1600. So this is actually older than the King James Version of the Bible. And you can tell that it was done by hand because a lot of it is crooked or it's cut off too closely at the top. And even in the front, Moore or somebody pasted in the original advertisement for this book and says that it is a poor copy. But I find that charming. I like the little defects in it. I also find it interesting that this copy of the New Testament has a whole table of heresies in the back. And my librarian heart is a little bit in horror that this book would have been 300 years old when we opened the library in 1901, and it was allowed to circulate. Obviously, none of these books circulate now, but they are available for inspection. If anyone wants to look at them inside the building, once we're no longer at curbside, you are welcome to. So thank you for joining me for this tale from the archive, and I hope to see you soon.